What I needed was not a new weapon, but a new animal.
A new animal?
Exactly so.
You found one?
Yes. Here on my island, I hunt the most dangerous game.
Most dangerous game?
Most dangerous game? What could it be?
The game I am hunting is all of you.
We are going to hunt you cricket.
What happens if I get caught?
Ooh, don't get caught. Don't get caught. Oh, there he goes.
Hunt men? You raving maniac.
Well, conventional wisdom says good fleeing will always be good chasing. But the stats say put your money on the guy with the gun.
And the hunt begins.
Indeed. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Most Dangerous Podcast, a show about the many incarnations of the most dangerous game. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I am Alex Brunel.
I'm Dustin Meadows.
And this week we are going to be discussing the 1997 classic, The Pest.
A movie which I've seen literally dozens of times.
A movie that I have seen literally twice.
And Travis has seen once.
Yes, it's my first time this week.
So I mentioned this last week, but just because this is this week's episode, I'll say it again. I think this may have been my first exposure to the story concept of the most dangerous game. This movie came out when I was 11. I doubt my mom dealt with this in a movie theater, so I probably saw it once it came out on video, which would have probably been 97, 98. So I would have been 11 or 12. And this was one of my favorite things. My brother and I quoted this movie constantly when we were kids. We would oftentimes tell our mom something was far, 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 far south. And things like this. It is a very different film to look at as an adult in 2022.
Yep.
Yeah. No, like watching it, I got the impression of like, oh, if I had watched this at the time that it was released and I was that age, this would have been one of those movies like, you know, I watched a lot, like, you know, Dumb and Dumber, Don't Be a Menace
Sure.
in South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Yeah.
Which that movie I watched way prior to seeing all the films that it was actually referencing.
I've still never seen that movie, which is an oversight on my part.
I was shocked that this movie was not made 3 to 4 years earlier than it was.
Yeah.
Because I threw it on last night to watch with my fiance, and I was like looking up the wiki and stuff on it, and I was like, oh, what was it, like 1997? What?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Leguizamo, like, even seems younger in this almost than, like, Super Mario Brothers, which is, like, I think, probably the first time I was aware of him.
Yeah. I knew it was post Mario Brothers, but I did not think it was that far post Mario Brothers.
Yeah, so like keeping in mind, I can't remember a ton of other stuff that he was in at the same time, but he, like I said previously, he did have this show House of Buggin' on Fox briefly in 1995, which involved a lot of the same people who worked on this movie. The writer of the movie also wrote and produced House of Buggin', as well as John Leguizamo's 1998 HBO special Freak. That's David Barr Katz. Paul Miller, who directed this movie, also directed the entirety of House of Buggin', but The Pest isn't his only feature film. He is a storied TV director, mostly in kind of a live scenario. He directed a lot of episodes of In Living Color, Saturday Night Live, The Ben Stiller Show, Mad TV, Viva Variety, which was like Tom Lennon, Carrie Kenny, and Michael Ian Black's first like post-state show. Which was kind of a legitimate variety / sketch show. He also directed episodes of like Alf and the Nanny. So like Leguizamo had been working with these people, and Leguizamo was also in Spawn the same year.
Yeah.
So I was seeing a lot of John Leguizamo at this time, I feel like.
This, God, it might not be 97, but I know Executive Decision, which he's in, was also, if not the same year, right
96
around
is when
it.
Executive Decision. Yeah.
Okay.
And a very different role. Also, he was 37 when this was made.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. According to what
yes.
I read, he was born in 1960. He's supposed to be playing, based on the plot synopsis that I was reading, he is supposed to be a teenager in this movie.
Yeah.
He struck me
kinda...
as like a 19-year-old, which I guess would be a teenager.
Because he talks about going to college, but he's definitely not in high school anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I never realized that.
But on that same
That's
token,
still older than I am now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not older than 37. I'm gonna go with that.
Oh, I don't have a 37 in a row soundbite.
Oh, you should.
Next time we do a movie with a 37-year-old actor. But I will say this: Leguizamo has aged fantastically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For just about anyone. This was like this stretch. I feel like 95 on were probably pretty good years for him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the filmography. He was doing pretty
Yeah,
good.
because Romeo and Juliet was the year before this too, I think.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
he
correct.
had like a
One.
good relationship with Baz Luhrmann and Spike Lee.
Yeah. God, I still need to watch. Was it Summer of Sam, the one that Spike Lee did that he's in? And he's
Spike Lee also
fantastic in
directed
Moulin
some of
Rouge.
his stand-up specials.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I also like. I'm gonna go throw it out here. I don't think this movie is good. But Leguizamo is easily, I think, the only part of it that works.
His performance is crazy in this movie. And I
Like,
mean that in kind of a... I don't think all the things he does are good, but all the things he does very well.
He's a cartoon character.
Yes, I mean this movie is a Looney Tunes. This is like this is a Looney Tunes cartoon, except it's 86 minutes long and a live action film made in 1997.
Yeah, this felt like watching The Mask if Jim Carrey had never gotten The Mask.
Yeah.
If he had just been able to do that, which John Leguizamo commits to.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, the parts of it that do work, the parts of it that do hit for me are entirely on Leguizamo.
I agree. I also, at this point in the show, we haven't said what this movie is actually about or why it is so impossible. So the plot of this movie, which is beautifully laid out by the opening theme song, if you're able to bring yourself to concentrate on the lyrics.
It's very hard.
It is really difficult, but I never realized until this viewing, despite the many, many times seeing this, that if you actually concentrate on the lyrics, he fills you in on his whole character. Like, you know,
the rap that he does at the beginning?
The rap is all about how he's a con man all over Miami. That's the whole thing of the song, and I literally never knew that as a kid because all I heard was him counting stinky dinkies, which I wish I could forget at this point. So
and like doing how many different voices and impressions during the course of the song?
As many as you can fit into 3 minutes.
Yeah, like this was like an SNL audition, essentially. It felt like. I also love that for this opening rap, the people who wrote is like, how close can we get to Rapper's Delight without the Sugar Hill Gang being able to sue us?
Yes, it is a dead sound alike. It is unbelievable. Yes. To the point that I can't believe that it wasn't credited in the song credits as being, not exclusively written by the people who made this movie. So a Miami con man, Pestario Pest Vargas, agrees to be the human target for a neo-Nazi manhunter in order to collect $50,000 if he survives. This $50,000 he owes to the Scottish Mafia of Miami, which may give you a bit of an indication of what exactly is wrong with this movie, which is to say that if there is an easy stereotype or racist or homophobic joke to make about any one of the dozens and dozens of broadly different types of people that are in this movie, and they are for the sake of these jokes, those jokes will be made over and over again over the course of 86 minutes. Yep. And to the point where like at the beginning of close to the beginning of the movie, he's masquerading as a Chinese guy to work in a Chinese restaurant as a delivery boy.
Mm-hmm.
Which has a legitimately funny scene where he kind of convinces them that they killed his pet duck.
Yes, that part of it was pretty funny. That part was great.
And then he gets him to serve the duck extra crispy. You killed Quacky? Why? And then later in the movie, just to be fair, he impersonates a Japanese guy doing karaoke and doing, all of the same things with his face, but in a different Asian accent.
Yep.
Yeah, everything, every scene. It's unrelenting, actually. Like, there's almost no like clean jokes in this movie.
No, every time. I mean, except for like maybe like the pooping joke.
Wait, yeah, like even in my notes, I wrote without remembering what the rest of the gags were. I wrote the first vomit gag and the first poop gag because I just assumed there must be more if we're starting them this early in the film, which there were both times.
Of course there were. Yep. Oh boy. Yeah, there's some offensive stuff, but oh boy, did I not need to see the sock later.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we didn't need to revisit the sock.
No, I hated that. I was like,
even as a kid, I never understood why at that point, when he's violently shitting in the jungle, and so loud to the point that he could just be tracked by echolocation by humans. Why he's covered in a viscous goo? I never there must have been something cut out of the movie that covered him in a viscous goo. It looked like he got the slime from the very beginning of Ghostbusters all over him.
Yeah.
The library slime.
he was birthed from a rhinoceros previous to taking a dump in the
that's where my mind was going.
They had to axe that gag.
They're like, look, it's either the rhino birth or the sock gag, one or the other.
Man, and the graphic puke gags, multiple.
Yep. It's also ridiculous how many. I mean, it's not a lot. It's just a handful because there's not a whole lot of recognizable faces in this. But like, there are some pedigreed actors in this film.
Oh yeah.
In addition to Leguizamo, because we get Freddie Rodriguez as one of his friends.
Very early Freddie Rodriguez role, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there was something else around this time.
I'm looking,
but I can't think what it was. My brain went to Ninja Turtles, but that's Sam Rockwell.
He was in Dead Presidents, and then he was also in Can't Hardly Wait, but that was the year
Can't
after.
Hardly Wait, that's what it was.
Yeah, that was the next year.
That was the other thing. We get Joe Morton.
Yeah, we get Joe
from
Morton.
Terminator 2.
Playing two roles.
Oh, I missed that.
He is the African-American head on a shelf in Gustav's home.
Well, they showed that at the end. Like they revisited like Joe Morton's head there, and I was confused because
it's very weird.
Did Jeffrey Jones at one point kill Joe Morton in this movie and do
he
that?
Did not.
I missed it.
No, the way it's edited in the credits version of the theme song does imply that. But no, the head makes an appearance in the trophy room scene. And it's very weird it's very weird. I don't understand why they did that gag. But Joe Morton does play the head of the Black Man prize that Gustav owns.
Yes. And then, of course, Jeffrey Jones, who we don't need to talk a whole lot about Jeffrey Jones.
Well, we have Aries Spears, too.
Aries Spears, who it's like, I wish they'd gone with Freddie Rodriguez having more screen time, because, oh boy, Aries Spears fucking sucks.
I thought he had a couple moments in this movie.
Well, I don't, as a human being, Aries Spears sucks.
Oh, okay, noted. I didn't know
I
this.
have heard nightmare stories from other comedians who have worked with him, who've worked clubs when he was working, and he is just a big old jerk.
Oh, shame. Because I really liked him on Mad TV when I was a little kid.
Yeah, he wasn't bad on all of those, and then somewhere along the way, I think he got this really inflated sense of like ego.
All that Pest money went to his head.
Yeah, that is just carried on. The Josie and the Pussycats money too.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm the world's #1 Shaquille O'Neal impersonator. Which is what Sarah brought to my attention. I'm like, oh yeah.
uh, um, so I was trying to look up some background on this movie, why this existed, and it seems to be perfectly encapsulated by a single piece of IMDb trivia, which seems to explain literally all of it. John Leguizamo really wanted to make a movie, so he and his best friend at the time, writer David Barr Katz, came up with the idea for The Pest and wrote a treatment together. Leguizamo bet Katz $1,000 that he couldn't write the screenplay for it. Then Katz wrote it in 3 days. He never wrote a movie before that. Leguizamo wrote a lot of the gags, such as the opening shower scene, the tortures, and other stuff. And Leguizamo later admitted that he now, quote, would probably do things a little differently, like spending a month on the script instead of just 3 days, and that he, quote, kind of fucked up.
Yep. Well, good. At least he has the presence of mind to know that.
So, yeah, that seems to... The screenplay was the result of a $1,000 bet between two friends who had connections to producers. And Sid Sheinberg, Sid Sheinberg's independent production company made this movie, which I did not know. So after Sid Sheinberg left Universal or was fired, I'm not totally sure how that went down. But, you know, notable shitbag Sid Sheinberg of Universal Studios made this movie. So we have the man who wanted to call Back to the Future Spaceman from Pluto, and the man who wanted to cut Brazil down to 90 minutes and give it a happy ending, made this movie in the 90s because he was always on the cutting edge of the best ideas. So, yeah, I also noticed two interesting things in the music credits of this movie. Number one, Kevin Kiner composed this movie, which is hilarious to me. He composed Clone Wars, he composed the movie Freaked, he co-composed Peacemaker recently with Clint Mansell, and just like... Oh, yeah. I've been seeing Kevin Kiner's name come up a ton since I've like learned his name a few years ago. He does all kinds of stuff. A weirder credit buried in the credits, Ira Newborn, music consultant. Ira Newborn wrote the score for 16 Candles, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller, Uncle Buck, Ace Ventura, and Mallrats. One of his last movies before he retired was Basketball. And he was just a music consultant on this movie. I have no idea what that means in this context. He doesn't have any other music consultant credits in the mid-90s on IMDb. Or at all, but like means. Particularly around the time.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if what that could mean, because a lot of what Kevin Kiner does in the score of this is he's making like, you know, the knockoff versions of like the Chariots of Fire or like this, like there are so many things that I'm like, oh, I see he's going for this, but it's not quite that, so that they can, and I wonder if maybe that's part of that, like let's go for this. But
that could be,
yeah,
that could
maybe
be.
His music consultant credit was he leaned over at one point and said, "Oh, you can't use Sugar Hill Gang Rapper's Delight without paying them."
Yeah,
because I noticed
we got to write our own thing. Yeah, or they'll sue you. Oh, okay, cool. Give him a music consultant credit.
Yeah, because something I noticed in the credits, in the music credits, was like all the songs in the movie were credited to like mostly the same group of people, mostly like the same three people like wrote and produced them. Like one of the only songs by other people was in the mini sketch outside of the club where it's the white guys playing "I Love Rock and Roll" in their in their dumb little car versus Pest and what's his name, Chubbs?
Yes,
yes,
Chubby
in their hydraulically raised Insano-mobile, dropping that Miami bass and killing the white guys with the subwoofer. The main like white guy in that scene is the writer of this film. So that was a scene in the movie that actually, when it started out, I was like, oh my god, this is the worst thing so far in the movie. I want this to end right now. And then as it went on, it actually got really funny.
Yeah, like some of the best stuff in here is when they take these insane turns that like no human being with a working brain could have said this is what's going to happen next and been right.
Right. It does happen a lot. And
oh yeah,
you get the sense that there was a lot of stuff cut out of this movie. There's a point toward the end where Chubbs and Pest are driving around, and they're like, oh, it's when Gustav has now kidnapped Pest's family. We got to discuss how this relates to the original Most Dangerous Game, because that's what this podcast is. But anyway, so he totally cheats the game and kidnaps Pest's. He kidnaps. Wait, let me phrase this better. He kidnaps the entire supporting cast.
yes.
And Pest is on the phone with him, and him and Chubbs just conjured burgers from somewhere. They just start eating hamburgers. We don't know where hamburgers came from, and then they show up in there in camo. So if were there to be a 2-hour long version of the Pest, I am glad we have been spared such a thing.
Yeah, I mean, if John Leguizamo dragging his ass across the floor like a dog made it in, I don't know if I want to know what got cut.
Well, some of it was in the credits. If you watch through all the credits, there seemed to be some kind of a bondage club scene that was cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, some weird German-looking dominatrix chick.
Yep. So
that was another thing where I'm like, I missed a whole part of the movie with this.
I was like, when I was a kid, I didn't know that there were things that weren't in the movie. That were shot for the movie. So I thought that I was missing a part of my tape or something. When I saw that in the credits. Yeah. So this movie. I guess let's talk about how it relates to the story. It doesn't very much.
Tangentially. Yeah, there was way less, and I mean, I didn't remember there being a whole lot of the hunt stuff in the movie when I saw it as a kid.
Right.
But there was less of it in this movie than I thought there would be.
Yeah, I thought we'd be spending more time on the island and less time in Miami.
Yeah, I feel like literally that entire sequence from getting to the island to him leaving the island on the boat with the weird sun is maybe 15 minutes long, if that.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Because when it happens, I'm like, I'm all in the headspace of this is gonna continue on. It's not this simple. He can't just escape that way.
Right.
Yeah, it's the shortest second act ever.
Right. It is very weird and so brief, and that is also at that point is when the similarities end, more or less. First of all, so we have the character Gustav, who's the neo-Nazi played by Jeffrey Jones, and that's our Zaroff analog in this movie, and Pest is our Rainsford, although Pest is nothing like Rainsford at all. No. It's literally he's just the guy being hunted. Gustav's motivations for hunting are largely similar, not entirely the same, but largely similar, and his motivations for continuing the hunt are very different. He is collecting races and ethnicities, which is a whole other weird cherry on top of the disgusting pie that this movie is in terms of its cultural dealings.
Yeah, I'm pro taking racists to task for being racist, but it was the dude's already hunting people for sport. I don't know that we need to add any more layers to it. I don't think anyone is watching this. It was oh no, John Leguizamo is being disrespectful to the hero of this story.
Right. Really, and if we're going to compare this to the 1932 movie, this movie was really if that movie concentrated on Martin, the drunk, annoying guy.
Yeah.
If we had a movie of the Martin hunt, because that was who Zaroff killed, because that was who Zaroff broke his rule for in that movie. He's this wasn't a challenge. This guy just annoyed the piss out of me. And hello. And this movie, he abandons his principles immediately, pretty much just because Pest annoys him so much, and he's just gonna do this.
I would have so much more respect for this movie if that was how this movie was made. If John Leguizamo and his friend were just watching the original and we're just hey, what if somebody made a movie but it was Martin that was hunted?
And that's kind of a legitimate, you could still explore that as a comedy now.
I mean, the same way that Carpenter made Big Trouble in Little China was what if the sidekick was the real hero and the guy who was supposed to be the hero was just completely worthless and had no real effect on the story? Like I would definitely view The Pest through a much different lens. I don't think it would be a better movie.
No,
but I would certainly be more interested in its genesis and at least applaud them on that.
Right. And less of the $1,000 bet that resulted in a screenplay written in 3 days.
Yeah, Jesus.
And then so then we have the hunt on the island briefly. They put him in makeup, seemingly like tribal makeup, for no good reason, and send him off into the jungle. And he does manage to set a log trap.
Yeah, a deadfall.
He does do that, which is, that trap wasn't set in the story of the first movie, but, you know, that's in the vein. Like, you still think you're going to be hanging out in that kind of world for a while, but that part just comes and goes.
Yeah, well, it's the log and the Ewok net too.
Yeah, the Ewok net. And then, like, so I'm going to fast forward to the end of the movie, just in terms of analysis of this to the story. Gustav reveals that he poisoned Pest. The deal was Pest had 24 hours, and if Pest survived the 24 hours, he gets $50,000. And Gustav poisoned him in the mansion before sending him off into the jungle with a poison that would kill him in 18 hours. This man did not even adhere to the principles of his nonsense murder hunt.
No respect for the game.
Which is like as much as you can trust a Nazi, I suppose, which makes as much sense as anything. But, you know, still, so like, you know, the character completely, like, it's like off, you know, once it's like, yes, there's a crazy man who needs to hunt human beings. That is the beginning and end of the relation to Zaroff, more or less.
That seems really weird. And it also, it seems completely counter to his whole character.
It does.
Like, worst case scenario, he survives and what? You're out $50,000, which you look like you could probably get it out of an ATM with no issue.
Right, which he also was seemingly keeping in cash in safety deposit boxes for some reason, which baffles me a little bit because, like, 'cause that's what ultimately happens. That's the ending of the movie. Pest survives because he puked up the poison on the boat because he was seasick, and impersonates the German ambassador, the nameless German ambassador, and gets Jeffrey Jones, Gustav, arrested, and also gets to confiscate the contents of his safety deposit boxes, which apparently contained much more than $50,000 in cash. My question is, number one, why is he keeping that if he never intends to pay any of the people that he hunts, which he obviously doesn't because he intends to take their heads? And number two, why go for it then? Like, do you not have liquid assets elsewhere that it would not just stay there for the next game? It is a little confusing logistically.
I think your questions can be best answered by going back to $1,000 bet that started this all off.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh yeah, this thing's lousy with plot holes. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. And I mean, anyone who says they wrote if somebody was like, oh, I wrote Taxi Driver in 3 days, it'd be like, okay, you're a liar, but okay, sure. I don't think anyone's ever been like, oh yeah, I wrote this feature script in 3 days, and then it was anything better than what we got with this.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
I've taken longer to write scripts that are just as bad as this, so...
Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, but Prehysteria 3 was also written in 3 days?
Oh.
Do you remember this bit of trivia from that creative screenwriting podcast with Michael Davis from like...
That's probably
15 years ago?
Based on...
Do you remember this bit of trivia from a podcast 15 years ago? Do you?
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, those episodes you cannot even like go back and access.
I have them saved. The ones that I downloaded, I still have saved. If you need them, I can send them to you.
Knowing what I know of the chart-dominating Prehysteria franchise,
Which we still have to do 2 episodes on.
We do still owe 2 episodes on that.
I think I can say that's probably a safe bet that it was.
I'm gonna take a little bit of a tangent just because I love the story so much. The guy who made Shoot 'Em Up, Michael Davis, wrote and directed Shoot 'Em Up, and I think he made one more movie after that, and he hasn't made a movie since, which is a damn shame. Although I think the 3 movies that he made before Shoot 'Em Up have probably aged terribly. I think they're probably some of the most misogynistic movies made in the late 90s and early 2000s. Maybe. I just don't want to revisit and find out. But if I recall, he was working for Moonbeam Entertainment for Charles Band and really wanted to make this movie Beanstalk. And Charles Band would not let him direct Beanstalk, but he was, Michael Davis demanded to direct Beanstalk. Charlie Band wouldn't finance it. And then Charlie Band was like, literally, it was like Thursday and he had to go into production on Prehysteria 3 on Monday and hated the script and wanted a page 1 rewrite in 3 days. And Michael Davis said, I will do that if you let me make Beanstalk. And then both of those things happened. As I recall from a podcast from 15 years ago. I should verify my information, but I think that bit of information is correct.
Yeah, I tried to verify. I tried to go to the IMDb trivia for Prehysteria 3, and there are only 2 bits of trivia.
How about Beanstalk? Did you try Beanstalk? Yeah, what are the trivia? What are the trivia?
Only entry in the Prehysteria trilogy to be directed by someone other than Charles or Albert Band. And here's an important one. As of 2019, this is the final entry in the Prehysteria franchise. Which that counts as a bit of trivia.
Oh man, Charles Band, that's the Full Moon films guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's another writing credit for Michael Davis. The Double Dragon movie.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I have not seen since childhood, but I don't need to watch it again to tell you that it's bad.
The one starring Mark Dacascos and Scott Wolf, correct?
And Robert Patrick and Alyssa Milano. That is the one.
Oh my god, I have to revisit this movie.
Oh, I want to. I know it's not going to be good, but oh man. Robert Patrick has done a great job of being the most entertaining part of many bad movies post-Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm. True fact. Jerkass wouldn't come to our film festival, though.
Yeah, the jerkass.
I'll always shake my fist at him for that, because I got the sense that he acted like he was too good to come and hang out at BG.
Would he not come, or did we just not have enough money?
No, he just like flat out said no. Like,
that's a huge bummer.
He had been like continued like the previous like UFO, like, Jay and like that whole group of people and John, they had always tried to get him, and like I think, in our time they tried to get him for the first couple of years and he would always just say no.
I would be so thrilled, like, if my alma mater was like, hey, you're like probably our most famous alumnus. Do you want to come back?
I don't think that he had. So also bear in mind when we were in college, which was for me was 04 to 08, which is 2 years out from his, very well loved run on the X-Files. His star wasn't exactly high. I don't think that coming back to BG was very high on his list of self-esteem and career affirming things that he could have done at that time. That's me projecting.
That's fair. I mean, I don't know. I look at it different, I guess. Like, I mean, and maybe I'll change my tune if I'm doing that for a living, but I don't know. I feel like I'd be flattered if somebody was like, hey, you're doing this really awesome thing with your life and people know you. Like,
yeah,
do you want to come back here? I was like, yeah, pay for my flight and my hotel. Sure.
Yeah.
Instead, they're like, all right, get Eva Marie Saint instead.
Yeah. Instead, we got Art LaFleur, baby.
And he was awesome.
He was. Art LaFleur was great. R.I.P.
Yeah. What was that? Were you guys there when he told the story about the whale penis?
I was.
No, I didn't get to see Art LaFleur.
I don't even remember what the story was. I just remember that like we were at Poly Eyes with him and like a bunch of UFO kids, and he told a story about a giant whale penis.
Oh, it was great. I also vividly remember him playfully slugging John Wagner on the arm and telling him to give him one of his cigarettes.
That's awesome. The Pest, a film we watched and are discussing today.
Yes. And Beanstalk's trivia is just sparse as a Prehysteria 3.
Okay.
Only 2 bits of trivia. Bumped from November 1994 video release, and Beanstalk has never been released on DVD. That's all I got.
Bummer. And I was incorrect. Shoot 'Em Up is actually the last thing that Michael Davis has done, and I am like now just desperately curious what he's been doing for 15 years for a job.
It said he did a short film after that.
Oh, okay.
But that was like, I think 2013.
That's 90s. Like, what, Michael Davis, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him on the show.
Yeah, I feel like Shoot 'Em Up should have curried him enough good favor to do at least one more movie.
Shoot 'Em Up is a really good movie.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites of 2007.
Yeah.
That's a good year, too.
Yeah.
Well, and that's also, like, Shoot 'Em Up feels like the movie that The Pest should be, because it's just a violent, over-the-top cartoon.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's very highly inspired by, Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. Oh, man, the carrot bits. Yeah, super great. Hey, do we want to just call it a night, and we'll just all like watch Shoot 'Em Up together online and just enjoy it?
I could pull the DVD off my shelf.
Watch party.
Same.
I think I bought that DVD from Video Spectrum when they were selling off used copies after it was no longer a new release.
I think I either bought it from there or Blockbuster. I don't remember. I definitely bought a lot of used DVDs from Video Spectrum. Although the only one that I know for a fact I brought from Spectrum was Resident Evil Extinction.
Oh man. I only ever convinced them to purchase one title that they maybe wouldn't have stocked otherwise, and it was the 2006 sci-fi original Headless Horseman that I thought was like really fun, and like literally no one ever rented it, and I felt very bad for making them spend $20 on this DVD.
Well, somebody definitely has that DVD now, though.
Somebody has it, or it's been destroyed. I'm scanning my notes. Like, I don't know if there's anything else like worth drawing out. Oh, there is a scene where John Leguizamo like mirrors Jeffrey Jones perfectly, does that like annoying mimicry thing.
Oh, that's such a good bit.
That was a really good moment. That was a really funny, like, well done comedy moment, I thought. What else? I did write down this movie is honestly too dense to take detailed notes on.
Yeah.
So
that was great. There's a really funny moment when they're at the island villa or mansion or whatever, and for no reason John Leguizamo just throws a wine glass at a painting or at a portrait and knocks it down.
Yeah. You're like, oh, are we not doing that? Is that not is that not the vibe? Okay.
Yeah, that was great.
I thought the scene where he beat up kids at basketball was actually pretty funny too.
Oh yeah.
Close to the beginning.
That was when he just Dikembe Mutombo's that kid's shot.
Yes.
And then he leaves the kid hanging, but the kid is like hanging like by a foot, maybe.
Right.
Like,
yeah. It's like the kid easily could have just let go and maybe rolled his ankle at most.
Yeah, and you could tell like they had a really strong idea for the first 10 minutes of this movie. Because like there's so much detail that carries through. It's like, oh, now Pest goes and does this, and it sets this up, and he has this little sketch with these kids, and he steals their lunches, and then he tosses their lunches to his best friends, and he gets in their truck, and they go do the thing. You know, it's like a really tight opening, and then that was like it.
It all went downhill because they were driving the Jeep and they didn't moto surf.
They did not moto surf.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
They should have.
Big mistake.
I will say one of the other things that's done really well. Leguizamo takes all the ball shots to the face fantastically in this.
Oh yeah,
like when he gets hit by the basketball, that opening scene. The weird physical training assessment that Jeffrey Jones puts him through is actually really funny.
Yes, I agree with that.
Especially when he just keeps getting like winged by tennis balls.
And like it seemingly was like he kept getting hit in the head and the face, but it seemed like he was wearing a lot of padding under he was wearing like the tennis sweater outfit. It seemed like he was wearing many layers. But
that was great. And then for some reason they put him on like a weird centrifuge thing. I was like, what is the purpose of this?
For the puke gag.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, definitely for the puke gag. But I was like, in the context of the story,
being hunted on the island,
like he's not going into space. What the hell is this? Like you're putting him on the same training that astronauts go through. What is this?
I didn't even really question that aspect.
Oh no, I mean it was funny. I thought it was a good gag, especially when it's like clearly just sped up footage and 80-yard dialogue over it.
Yeah,
but it's just what does this prove? That he that he can't be spun around at breakneck speeds without vomiting?
Yes,
that's everybody. That's everybody.
That's exactly it.
Like, how does that make him worth hunting?
What were you saying, Trav? You were gonna say something.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, all the spinny and shaky cam shots in this movie.
Yeah,
especially there was that one, and then there's during the subwoofer scene where that like is going on forever. Where I'm like, I was telling Sarah, I'm like, look at what is happening on this screen.
That scene is like that's a great sketch. Like, that's a sketch that would have been on House of Buggin', or would have been on In Living Color, or would have been on Mad TV. Like, that is a really good sketch of the time. It's very silly. It's very dumb. But like, also that Miami bass track kind of slaps. That was like a I love that kind of era and sound of hip hop. Like, even the really bad, cheesy 90s Miami stuff.
I also love that they clearly just could not afford to license I Love Rock and Roll.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they just bring in that horrendous cover version.
Yeah, I one of the other things I read about the movie, I didn't think it was that interesting, so I didn't like note it, but it was like John Leguizamo and either the writer or the director had like a first look deal at Universal, but Universal wouldn't make movies under $10 million, and they wanted to make this movie for $8 million. So that's why it went to The Bubble Factory by Sid Sheinberg and Sons.
Yeah. When I saw the Bubble Factory logo pop up, I'm like, whoa, this like takes me back. I remember like,
what else did they do?
Bubble Factory's done a few things, and I did not take note of that.
It's okay.
Oh, they did the Flipper movie with Paul Hogan.
Oh, yeah. And Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
McHale's Navy for Richer or Poor.
McHale's Navy. Yeah.
Oh my God, those are movies that feel very similar and are both equally terrible.
Yes.
McHale's Navy was Tom Arnold. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
If I recall, Bruce Campbell's in that movie.
Bruce
too.
Campbell and Patton Oswalt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I think, Patton Oswalt, because McHale's not McHale's Navy. Periscope Down.
Down Periscope.
Was around the same.
Periscope.
Down Periscope. That's what it was with Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt is in one of
Williams.
those, but I don't remember which one.
Okay, so he's not in McHale's Navy, but Dean Stockwell, Deborah Messing, Ernest Borgnine, David Allen Greer, Tim Curry, French Stewart, and Tommy Chong are.
Yes. In McHale's Navy?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are all in McHale's Navy.
Yep, I remember the French Stewart, yeah.
Was Bruce Campbell
French
down
Stewart's
Periscope?
really good. I miss French Stewart, you guys.
Yeah.
I miss
He's
French
fantastic.
Stewart. Oh man, I think the last thing I saw him do was play a French Stewart impersonator that ran a celebrity impersonator agency on Community.
Oh, that's pretty good.
You know what I saw him do once, actually? I saw a performance in LA years ago of it was kind of like a live radio show. It had like Foley effects and stuff going on, and it was just like them reading off of a script, kind of, like a radio play, but it was on stage in a theater, and French Stewart played Nikola Tesla. That was very cool.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Oh, was that Thrilling Adventure Hour?
That may have been.
Because I know that I know, like, I think like Paul F. Tompkins is involved with that.
Okay.
Oh God, I'm blanking on the actor Mark something. Holt's husband from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Mark Evan Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Is also involved with it, and they do like a couple of different like serial shows under that. And I know that was going on for a while out here. That was it at the Largo?
No, well. It honestly could have been, because I don't remember. I have the program somewhere because I am a pack rat, but I don't know what the program says.
There's a good chance it was Thrilling Adventure Hour, because I used to listen to it a lot.
That
was a great show.
Yeah, I had a great time. He was great. Oh, Travis, you sent me a Star Trek connection for this.
I did. Yeah, there's some Star Trek connections going on in this movie.
Contractions. You made up a word.
Yes, I'm like, let's start calling it contractions.
So we have contractions. Nice. So I have the contractions image up on the screen.
How far apart are the contractions?
And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
Some kind of Star Trek. I love that line.
Yeah.
Some
Great
kind
James
of
Cromwell.
Star Trek.
James Cromwell has been in a lot of Star Trek.
Yes.
I hope we get to visit all he's done. But Paul Miller, the director, the next year after this movie, he was the video playback operator on Star Trek Insurrection.
And I noticed that's what IMDb says he is known for.
And then Tom McClyster, who played Leo. He was also in some movie. He was in Envy, Midnight Run, Twins, but he was in a DS9 episode as Kolos in the episode Q-less.
Very nice.
Very butthole looking face character.
It's a real butthole mouth situation going on there.
He's a real Maz Kanata.
Did you? Yeah. I sent this picture in the chat, Dustin. If you wanted to take a sneaky peek.
Looking at it now.
Okay,
yeah. Waiting on it to load, rather.
So the butthole mouth is real, as you can see.
Oh my god, that is troubling. That is a distressing butthole mouth.
Yeah, it's in distress for sure.
Oh boy. Jeepers creepers.
So yeah, and basically, I'm
Jesus.
just back to the Bubble Factory. They made bad movies mostly.
Yes.
Yes.
They did a For Richer or Poor with Kirstie Alley and Tim Allen.
Yeah, the worst coupling of all time. I mean, like you can't
Witness, but
you can't make me want to watch a movie less than making it star Tim Allen and Kirstie Alley.
They did Slappy and the Stinkers.
What is that?
You don't know Slappy and the Stinkers?
Slappy and the Stinkers is a 1998 American family adventure comedy film. Film stars B.D. Wong and Bronson Pinchot. The plot concerns a group of children who try to save an abused sea lion from a greedy circus owner.
Yes. This looks like The Little Rascals, but with a seal.
Yes.
This movie is 78 minutes long and was released in theaters.
Oh boy.
Oh my god. Sid Sheinberg. What a... He also made Playing Mona Lisa, which the only reason I know that movie is because it's one of like Alicia Witt didn't she had like a minor moment kind of, but not really. She never super broke through. The most it was like Urban Legend. As I recall, I might be wrong.
See, I think of Justified is like the only thing I think of with her.
She was in an episode of The Sopranos. She's stayed working pretty steadily.
Oh yeah, she's always worked.
Yeah, it's not been a lot of like high profile first build.
But there was like this run, like 90s. I would watch Four Rooms, Bongwater, Urban Legend, Playing Mona Lisa, Cecil B. Demented, Vanilla Sky. And she's in all those things, and I'd watch all those things actually like fairly frequently. She's also in, you would never recognize her, but she's also in Dune and in Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah.
She's the piano playing sister in Twin Peaks, and she is Aaliyah? Yeah, Aaliyah Atreides in Lynch's Dune. Because oh no, Dustin went away. And the stream broke.
He had to go watch Dune.
Oh boy. I don't have a layout for this right now.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
All right.
Hang on.
I didn't send you anything for...
No, it's okay. I've cut to it. Let's just keep chatting. I have technical difficulties up, and I'm gonna figure this one out.
All right.
Why did that happen? But yeah, I just used to see Alicia Witt a lot. Oh no, her casting in Dune, apparently the criteria for her casting was she was so sharp as a 5-year-old that she could actually recite the very complicated dialogue. And so she could recite the insane, Frank Herbert via David Lynch text, and at the same time form. And yeah, I don't know. What else?
So that's the same kind of stuff they were looking for when they were casting Star Wars.
That's
can
true.
You say these crazy lines while also maintaining character?
Yeah. Should we have Dustin back?
Hey, yeah, sorry about that. My Zoom crashed. It's because I Wikipedia'd the Bubble Factory.
Oh no!
Literally, the second the page loaded, my Zoom window just completely closed out. So, let that be a lesson, listeners.
Don't try to multitask on whatever you're using as a computer.
Oh,
Just don't look up the Bubble Factory.
Yeah, I was gonna
just
say
don't look
that's
at
the
the Bubble
lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sid
a good lesson.
Sheinberg's goons were listening.
Goons. Hired goons. What else about the Pest? The Libby.
Oh, well, I meant to say this earlier when we talked about the Star Trek connection. Now, as of a year ago, we've got a Star Wars connection, finally.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Legs.
With the
Oh, right.
Mando.
Which I don't know why you feel the need to. I mean, I guess Star Trek does it too. Hey, let's take this recognizable face and make them completely unrecognizable.
Yeah, well, with the Star Wars stuff, I feel like that's kind of important to like maintain the or it used to be to like not take somebody like out of the world to be like, I remember, Simon Pegg as Unkar Plutt. It's like if you just saw Simon Pegg, you'd be like, oh,
yeah,
right.
Sometimes totally get it.
There's Simon Pegg, there's Daniel Craig, anybody else whose name rhymes with egg. There they are.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah. Egg Helms.
Yep. That's what it says that on your IMDb.
Wait, have you guys watched Auntie Donna's something? It's an Australian.
Auntie Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun.
That, yes.
No.
Frequently, yes.
Okay. Travis, you should check it out. It's a sketch show, this Australian comedy troupe. It's on Netflix. But Ed Helms produced the show. He plays himself occasionally. There's a sketch at one point where they figure out that his name is actually Egg Helms and that his agent has been like fucking him for years by getting his name wrong. And then for the subsequent episodes of the show, because he's a producer on the show, for subsequent episodes, he is credited as Egg Helms.
It's pretty great.
It's a really good running joke. It's that show's got a lot of really good running jokes. It's a great way to like kill 20 minutes or like
They're
17
fantastic.
minutes.
Also, all of their YouTube stuff from like their older limited Australian series are really good.
Noted. I'll have to check it out.
Like Michelle and I have gone down like deep dives, like and just wasted an hour like watching old Auntie Donna sketches.
That's great. The Pest. Any further thoughts on The Pest? I don't think I do. I don't think I'll watch this movie again. This will probably be the last time.
Yeah, there are so many other better John Leguizamo projects to watch. Like I would rather watch Spawn again. And I'm going to watch Spawn again at some point.
I'm curious to watch Spawn again, but like I so vividly remember the disappointment and specifically why I was disappointed by that movie when it came out, and I don't think
there
it
a new
got
Spawn
better.
being made?
He's been Todd McFarlane has been threatening to make a new Spawn movie for the better part of 15 years, and I'll believe it when I see it.
I like threat is like, I'm gonna make a new Spawn if you don't watch out.
Yeah, I guess when I search Spawn on IMDb, there's not even like one of those pages of like
Yeah. I will say, like, I know that Spawn is bad. I remember it being bad when I saw it as a kid, but I remember that John Leguizamo's clown made me laugh.
Yeah.
I remember Michael Jai White is actually very good as Spawn. It's just a bad movie.
Yeah. I remember the design being kind of cool too, but it also kind of just looked like a gritty TV movie and not like a good movie.
Yeah, and it also, like, when they get to hell, it just looks really bad.
Real cheeseball.
That's when it really falls apart, is all the hell stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Todd McFarlane, he figured it out, but I mean, he's not a great character. I remember reading this interview where he would describe like his negotiating tactics, like in doing business. And one of his negotiating tactics was literally to like keep his opponent in his office, keep turning up the heat and deny them water.
That's insane. Like that's Gestapo tactics, death squad level stuff.
That is Todd McFarlane business tactics.
Yeah,
self-admitted. Like that's not even like someone scandalized him by revealing like he did this to me. No, he just talked about this.
Yep. No, literally the one net positive from him is the creation of Image Comics.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, him as a person can go take a long walk off a short pier. But Image has given us a lot of really, really great, talented people and a lot of really cool comics and other stuff. But yeah, McFarlane sucks.
Absolutely. I mean, like, This is a whole separate podcast, of which there are podcasts about and YouTube shows far more qualified to talk about it than us, probably. But McFarlane is completely integral to how comic books are today. Like, comic books, none of it would be the way it is right now if it weren't for Todd McFarlane and the group of people that started Image Comics. Yeah. It just sucks when, like, the people that do that, like, Sam Keith doesn't suck.
Yeah.
The guy who, like, the publisher of Image Comics who created the Max, he doesn't suck. Jim Lee, I don't think sucks. I've always heard good things about Jim Lee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Robert Kirkman sucks. At least I hope he doesn't.
Robert Kirkman is stiffed a lot of people on bills. Robert Kirkman has withheld a lot of checks. He got sued by the guy who he co-created Walking Dead with, the guy who illustrated the first batch of comics.
Oh yeah, the guy who did the first 6 issues.
Yeah, he got sued by Terry Moore. And that seemed, that was just like, because he didn't honor the fucking deal, like.
Yeah, that's not great. Was Battle Pope Image Comics?
It's a good question. I think not, actually. I think Battle Pope is another indie publisher.
I can't remember. I think one of the artists who worked with Kirkman worked on Battle Pope, and maybe that's why I'm thinking of it.
Well, Kirkman did Battle Pope.
Oh, did Kirkman?
Yeah.
Either way, Battle Pope's great, everybody.
I'm pretty sure Kirkman did Battle Pope. Am I wrong?
I think it might have been
comic books on this show about the Pest.
Yeah.
But this is also a more freewheeling show than our other shows. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It's the guy who he co-created Battle Pope with, Tony Moore.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. That was why my brain made that connection.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Do we think that this is the worst John Leguizamo movie?
Oh.
Ooh.
I
haven't seen very.
He was in The Happening. Remember?
Oh yeah, The Happening is bad.
Shit, I don't know if I would rather watch this or The Happening.
This at least made me laugh at parts, and it's mercifully short.
I would rather watch The Happening with riff tracks if given the choice of anything.
No riff tracks.
But if there's no riff tracks, I'm watching The Pest.
Yeah. He was in Land of the Dead.
Land of the Dead is watchable.
Is a good movie.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Beyond watchable. That is an unsung gem.
Yeah, dislike Land of the Dead.
People were wrong about that movie.
It's post Land of the Dead is when Romero's Dead films really kind of start to take a nosedive in quality.
Diary has some moments. Survival of the Dead is embarrassing. It's sad.
Yeah. That's what happens when you say, hey, what if I hired largely not actors for my last couple movies?
Yeah. But, it's also what you do when you can't get a movie financed. You finance it for a tenth of what you would like to finance it for.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see other. I mean, I guess Spawn's not a worse movie than this.
No, Empire is supposed to be bad, but I can't possibly imagine it being as bad as this.
How's Spun? Is Spun a good movie?
Oh God, who else is in Spun? Because I have heard of that one. I don't know that I've ever actually watched it.
Let's find out. We're internet personalities. We're meandering on our own podcast.
Yeah.
How did I Spun? He played Spider Mike. Jason Schwartzman, Mickey Rourke, Brittany Murphy, Patrick Fugit, Mina Savari, Debbie Harry.
Oh, it's a solid cast.
Eric Roberts played the man. Rob Halford plays a porn clerk.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Rob Halford. Peter Stormare plays Mullet Cop, and Alexis Arquette plays Mustache Cop.
I'm sold on the cast alone.
Billy Corgan and Tony Kaye both have small roles.
Huh.
Tony Kaye, if I'm not mistaken, is the guy who directed American History X, who's insane. Yes, that is the same person. Mm-hmm. Yep. If you want to read some insane Hollywood stories, just go reading about Tony Kaye.
Oh boy, I do.
That's a great way to kill a couple 45 minutes on Wikipedia. Yeah, Spun. Directed by Jonas Ackerlund. Interesting. Now I'm kind of interested in watching Spun.
So what I said, The Happening and The Pest in contention for the worst Leguizamo movie?
Yes, absolutely.
Probably, yeah.
All right, listeners, you write us and you tell us. Call our hotline.
Also, we didn't mention right now, Leguizamo's having a boom because he's the guy that nobody's supposed to talk about. He played Bruno in Encanto.
Oh yeah.
I have not watched Encanto, so I don't know.
I was looking through his credits earlier today, and I saw he was in that. I was like, oh, maybe I should finally sit down and watch Encanto, since it's been on Disney for 3 months now.
Yeah. Angela watched it, said it was great. She was crying the whole time.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but fantastic things. I just been so busy watching Entourage, you know.
Well, that's a good excuse, as good of an excuse as any.
You just mix it up, make it Encantourage.
Oh, that'd be pretty great.
That's
Bruno's,
that's
Bruno
your
sounds
next
like a
project.
real turtle.
This is your next project, and it's a doozy. You have to do What's Up Tiger Lily to Encanto. So you have to strip out all the audio of Encanto, take all of the dialogue from Entourage, and create a new narrative on top of Encanto with Entourage dialogue.
Perfect.
This is your life's work. This is your Topher Grace Star Wars recut.
Act like I won't throw Debbie Mazar all over Encanto.
Oh my God, I would love that. And should you or any listener intrepid enough to follow through on this task, do this. I will watch your version of Encanto before I watch Encanto.
I would love it if, nobody like ever sends emails or like leaves like any positive things to say. I would love it if like we don't get anything and then all of a sudden somebody takes on this massive task.
That'd be fantastic. It's the same with my other podcast. Every week I'm like, hey, here's our email. Send us something. I've literally gotten one comment from somebody on our Facebook page who was mad at me because I goofed on a Slipknot album.
Oh, you can't goof on a Slipknot album.
It was like, you don't know what Corey Taylor was going through. I was like, dude, it's a comedy podcast about new metal. I'm gonna make jokes about it.
Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah. I started typing a response and then I just screenshotted it, blocked and deleted. I was like, all right, dude, go listen to something else. Like, this is not the kind of interactions I want with our 3 listeners.
Metal about sadness is no longer valid after the second album.
Yeah, nope. It's like, oh, he was going through some stuff. Like, what? I don't know.
The second hit album. Let me revise.
How
second
big
hit
of a
album.
yacht to buy?
Right. Exactly. Not saying human beings can't go through pain.
Oh yeah.
Saying
absolutely they can, but like also
quit screaming about it like a baby.
Yeah, I've been through a bunch of stuff. Nobody goes on the internet batting for me because somebody clowned on me on a podcast. I'm sure I've got haters, I believe they're called out there. That's what the kids call them, haters.
You probably have haters.
I definitely got haters.
Yeah.
I hope John Leguizamo's not one of them. I want to be his friend.
That would be good. I would like to be John Leguizamo's friend, although he's old.
He is. Make John Leguizamo Dash Rendar.
I
maybe.
No, not necessary. I just
you just want Dash.
I just love John. I just want Dash Rendar, and I also just love John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
But I think he'll be fine.
He's fine.
He's fine. He doesn't need me.
Yeah, he had another big comedy special a couple years ago too, didn't he?
He's been doing them pretty consistently, and they always seem to do really well for him.
Oh. And he's that variety where it's like he's like the Henry Rollins variety of stand-up, right? Where it's like not strictly stand-up comedy. He's like telling stories and talking about things, and it's funny
a little
sometimes.
Spoken word kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and there was one that was essentially supposed to be tied to like a lot of like Latin history that came out probably a couple years ago. It's supposed to be really good. That I've not got around to checking out, but yeah.
Cool.
John Leguizamo. Can't say enough good stuff about the guy.
Except about the Pest, which don't watch it.
Yeah, but he's also the only good part of the Pest. So.
Yeah, true. I mean, just look up on YouTube the credit sequence, the song, and the car sketch. That's the best of the movie, I think.
Yeah.
Also, he's got to be getting crazy Ice Age money for all those.
Oh
movies.
yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Being in Ice Age, like agreeing to continue to be in Ice Age is just like printing money, right? I mean, like he works for 2 days, gets residuals forever.
Oh yeah.
But not there was the brand new Disney Plus original movie, Ice Age spinoff movie that came out a few weeks ago, and none of the original cast, except for Simon Pegg, who is the lead, returned to do voices.
Wow.
Oh wow! Well, Simon Pegg original cast, or did he come on in one of the sequels?
He came on in one of the sequels.
Okay.
And the Buck Wild character. That's what the movie is about. And like they did such a poor job of trying to match everybody that even my son like commented on it. He's like, these are not the same like people as like in the other movies. I'm like, yeah, it is not.
Ray Romano's doing fine. Dennis Leary's fine.
Yeah, he's got they're actually, I know for a fact they're still running Rescue Me on TV because I was in a firehouse a couple months ago and they were watching Rescue Me in the fire station.
Yep.
Because that's a real story from the front lines of firefighting in Los Angeles, people. Still watching Rescue Me.
Queen Latifah came on in one of the later ones too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In Rescue Me?
No,
in Ice Age.
Yeah, J-Lo, Peter Dinklage. Everyone showed up.
Yeah, they'll all be fine. Just to bring it back to one more Pest-related note, what age would you be okay letting your boys watch The Pest, Travis?
We watched it as a family.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right after Titan. And it was...
you had me going for a second. You had me going.
No, absolutely not. No, yeah, I mean...
25.
They'll just won't know that this movie exists.
When will they watch it? Never under this roof. That's when.
No.
Should they as adults become curious about their father's podcasts from long ago?
What's The Pest, Dad? I don't know what you're talking about. No, you did.
Let's watch The Happening.
No, your podcast. There's an episode called The Pest. Stop gaslighting me, son.
No, we're gonna watch this other one. Dante from Clerks is in The Happening. You'll like it.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, he is.
Oh, I really wish I had the 37 in a row sound clip now.
Brian O'Halloran.
All right.
Okay.
We should wrap it
so
up.
What should we cover next week? What movie should we talk about next week, y'all?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we should watch something good to as a palate cleanser.
That's a reasonable request.
I think the 90s is a pretty ripe era for a lot of these. I would be pro doing Surviving the Game or Hard Target next.
Can I request Hard Target? I've not seen it. And
I haven't seen Hard Target either.
I watched
Hard
Surviving
Target's
the Game somewhat
fantastic.
recently.
Cool.
Yeah, Hard Target's a blast. John Woo's American debut.
I do want to. We'll discuss this after the show. Yes, Hard Target is great next week, and we will get to Surviving the Game for sure soon. But I do realize that some people have seen it more recently than others. So with that, yeah, Travis, I don't know. You do the outro.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Dustin, where can people find you this week?
DustinMeadowsComedy.com, at Dustin Meadows, Twitter and Instagram, at the SAG-AFTRA offices if you want to find me in person and fight, or just say something nice to me. You know, I don't have enough strangers saying nice things to me lately. You can also check out my podcast, New Metal Who Dis, available on all the podcatchers, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, and so forth. Check that one out.
Cool. And Alex, how about you?
You can find me on social media at Alex Brunel, but don't, or do if you want. The thing I'm currently interested in is this show, so just continue to tune into or download or whatever this show, because this is fun. And where am I next week? I'll be appearing inside of a production studio in Burbank, shooting interviews. Don't come.
Unless you're being interviewed.
Unless you're one of the people we're interviewing. Which, if you are listening to this podcast, I assure you are not. Travis, what about you?
All
or
right.
this show,
you can
or
find
whatever.
me at Travis Fishburne. You can find the show at Who Watches Pod on Twitter. Subscribe, like, leave reviews, send an email, comment on, this YouTube, anything other than where is The Pest the movie? This is not a link to that movie. So yeah, until next week, where we cover John Woo's Hard Target.
Hard Target.
Yes. What did I say last week? Stay safe, survive and stay alive.
There we go.
Oh, that's your most dangerous game.